She's 15, and she just went. I was like, oh, really? Right before a live show. Sorry. Are we live? I can't hear you.
I apologize, beautiful people. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I apologize for being technically challenged. It's not Royal Daily Tea's fault. It's mine, as usual, because we're trying to do something. Even City is surprised. See? City was like, Mom, get it on with. So thank you very much to Royal Daily Tea for joining us.
Thank you.
You guys are amazing. You guys rock. Thank you very much for all your support and everything you do. We have a lot to talk about, and please go to her channel. You know, she's an amazing lady as well. So welcome, Royal Daily Tea. If there are any questions, please ask.
Yes, thank you for inviting me, Paula. Sorry for all the technical stuff.
So how are you? How have you been?
You know, I'm really good. I'm just trying to keep up with everything, and it's like I'm behind. There's just so much stuff.
But are you doing okay now?
Yeah, I'm doing really good. It's just, you know, having a full-time job and then doing this on the side. You know, Royal News doesn't sleep.
No, I know. It's the same for me. You know, people tell me that how do you say that this is my full-time job, and this is not my full-time job. No, so you're in the States.
I'm in Texas.
You know, there sounds like a little bit static from your side when you talk.
Is there static? Is it my microphone?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me see. Is that better?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay, I'm
just trying to see if it's on my end too. So.
Okay.
So, well, I just wanted to say welcome, and we have so much to talk about.
We do.
You're in the States right now. Texas. Can you please tell me what is the United States? What are they feeling about everything that's happened in regards to the releasing of the Netflix thing while the royals are there, and how are people reacting to the Prince and Princess of Wales?
Well, first of all, I think Americans love the royals. They really do. And that started back with Princess Diana, in my opinion. And William is the epitome of his mother. I think is her best qualities. People love Catherine and William because, in my opinion, they have that Diana magic. They have that Diana magic. There's a huge crowd. Tons of people, you know, went out to see them, even if it was raining. Unfortunately, we have the duo out in Montecito are what I call desperate and dramatic, and are doomed, in my opinion. They're just floodgating, of course, all of this news all of a sudden at one time. So they're definitely trying to ruin this visit. Now, it really depends on who your news source is. You have the left-leaning people, you have the right-leaning people. I've seen some pretty scathing articles that tend to be more left-wing. We're saying, oh, the royal family's trying to save face due to all those, you know, racist allegations that just came out with Lady Susan Hussey. So unfortunately, even though I think this tour has been very successful.
So, sweetie, wait 1 second. The people are saying that they can't hear you very well. There's like a lot of how do you say it? A lot of static. Are you on a mic?
Okay, I'm on this one. Is this better?
Yes.
Okay, I took off the microphone.
There we go.
Better?
Oh, much better. Oh, here we go.
Okay, sometimes they act weird with microphones.
Yes. So please, if you can tell us, well, in your neck of the woods, I don't know how far you are from everything. Mm-hmm. So how did the American people feel? Because let me tell you, the press in the United Kingdom, for some reason, had it in for the Prince and Princess of Wales.
Yeah, I think it's kind of mixed. I think you depend on, like I said, if you're left-leaning or right-leaning, who you get your news from. I've seen a lot of positive reports, but at the very beginning, right when they arrived in Boston, right when that story dropped with Susan Hussey, it was like, oh, royal family brushing to save face. And it was unfortunate, but the fans have been coming out. They've been lining the street. It was pouring rain in Boston when they first arrived. People were there out in droves. I believe people love the royals. They really do. And they, he has that Diana magic. He's Princess Diana's son. People love him. They love Catherine. Unfortunately, there was just a little bit of negativity in the beginning because that's right when the story broke. But I think the royals have won, and they've definitely proven they're the real royals.
Well, I saw, I mean, the people from Boston were absolutely, from what I've seen, because even CBS was very pro Meghan. They're like, oh, this and that. And I saw Prince William walk over to greet Biden, and oh my God, that guy is, Prince William, he's smooth as silk. I loved his walk. Did you see how he walked over, how confidently he walked over to
Yes.
to greet Biden, who made time, the president of the United States
Made
time
for the future
to go
king of
see the real world, to see the real royals. Sorry,
yeah,
guys.
it's I think, like I said in the very beginning, there was a lot of negative press when they attended the Celtic game because I think it had to do with people being Catholic, the whole Irish thing and the British thing, and some people were chanting USA, which I think is embarrassing. But I really do believe the royals have kind of won them over. But again, if you're a left-leaning person, they tend to fall down that one narrative that Meghan loves to grab onto, right? So it just really depends where you get your news. And when I was on Twitter and social media, the first day it was brutal. They're like, oh, the royal racists are here, which is just, it's so unfair because they're tying something that had nothing to do with them with William and Catherine. But now everyone is raving about them. Again, I think the royals are going to win this one. I really do.
I gotta tell you, like, I think, but this is just my perspective, clearly. I think that it was mostly the British press making a big deal out of it, because, and I am extremely or very sad that Prince William, that they jumped the gun on this, because they took the word of this woman who said that she had never tweeted about Meghan Markle, and now we found out that she had.
But you know what, though, Paula? In a way, I think it's good that they did that. And you know why? Because if all the people to claim racism, this was the perfect woman to do it, because she is such a charlatan, and it has literally taken people 5 minutes to uncover her real truth. It's called connect the dots, boom, boom. And the armchair detectives, us royalists and people at home, figured out real quick that she was full of it. So in a way, it's backfiring on them.
You also have to see that this woman's name, but what really bothers me is that Buckingham Palace jumped the gun, and the way they treated Lady Susan Hussey, in my opinion, it's that's a no. This is a lady who, and you know what's come out? I don't know if you heard this, but apparently she's hard of hearing.
Yes.
And the room is full of noise. I mean, I don't understand. And I really do believe that it comes down to King Charles and Prince William, that they want to be woke. They should have study that, take their time instead of jumping so quickly and basically disgracing this really lovely, loyal lady. And, who was there dressed up as an African person.
Yeah.
She changed her last name, her name is Marlene, I don't know how you say it in English, or Marlene Headley from Hackney. She's not Ngozi Fulani from Africa. And I don't understand why they jumped the gun like that and they dropped her. It's horrible what they've done to this lady. If, in my opinion, she's the one who suffered abuse, not this woman. And she wasn't even invited, from what people are saying.
Yeah. In one way, though, Paula, I think that the royal family, because of their previous allegations of Meghan Markle calling them racist, they had to act, because if they wouldn't have done anything, people would be like, oh, once again. So I think Lady Susan Hussey fell on the sword.
But let me tell you why.
second. She did it
This
to
has happened. And
family.
you and I have had a debate about this. This has happened because Meghan Markle's claims were never investigated. In
Right.
the United Kingdom, it is a crime. It's a criminal offense to falsely use their race card. And what should have happened when she said those things that were lies, by the way, they should have said, okay, wait a minute, because we need to investigate this because this is the monarchy. It's an institution that represents the United Kingdom and Commonwealth.
Right.
You know, and if it had been any other organization, there would have been an investigation
Right.
to determine whether the person is telling the truth or is lying. And if the person is lying, there are criminal consequences for that. How come they didn't jump and investigate Meghan Markle's claims and they let it stand? And this is what I've always been saying, that those claims needed to be investigated. I've never said, oh, you know, the royal family has to say, you are, no. It's like, we're gonna conduct a proper investigation about these claims, and we're gonna get to the bottom of this. And we're gonna interview Meghan Markle. We're gonna interview Harry. We're gonna use the Oprah interview where both of them were contradicting each other. We're gonna show how everybody has behaved towards her. We're gonna talk to her bullied employees, allegedly. We're going to talk to everybody around to see who was racist towards her. Because, you know, now the norm is that you can't ask questions. You can't wonder what color your baby's going to be or what your baby's going to look like. You can't ask anybody who they're from.
Right.
You know, you can't do anything nowadays. Now it's terrible to call yourself a mother or a woman because it's offensive to trans people. You know, now you don't breastfeed, you chest feed. You know what I mean? So
like
this is the result of them, the palace, not calling them out. It was never about tit for tat. It was about holding them accountable.
Well, that's why I think, like I said, the palace came out and acted swiftly because they did not act last time. And Lady Susan fell on the sword because they needed to nip this in the bud. I do not believe she was racist, but she was trying to be friendly, have a conversation. But at the same time, the palace had to come down, shut this down, and say, we don't tolerate this because it was brand new. They had said they investigated, which basically was her saying, yes, I had the conversation. And they're saying, okay, she stepped down because she was trying to preserve the legacy of Her Majesty the Queen. She respects the royals, and she didn't want to cause a fuss. She fell on the sword because they needed to shut this down immediately. You have to remember, this is right when Prince William was touching down in Boston. The story comes right out. So the royal family has to come out and immediately publicly say, we don't stand for this. We're going to investigate. She apologizes. She steps down. She goes on the sword. The poor woman is taking the blame for this because we've only heard the one side. And like you said, she's 83 years old. She served 60 years, never once a mess up. And this lady came in there, in my personal opinion, Paula, I think she was gunning for Camilla, but she got Susan instead.
That's what I said. But if we take that argument, then the argument is that there's no investigation. It's basically that somebody made an allegation and therefore you're fired. But if that is the case, then we don't investigate what Meghan Markle said, because it's the same thing. Meghan Markle making false allegations that even Harry came and he basically contradicted everything Meghan Markle said. So if we apply that logic, it doesn't work, because that means that Meghan Markle, we shouldn't question what Meghan Markle says, because if anybody, I can go today and make a false claim and say that Prince William was racist towards me and go on every talk show and everything, and therefore Prince William has to be condemned. That's basically what's happening right now, because now Palace should have issued a statement instead and saying, we're going to look into this. We're really sorry for any misunderstandings, but we're going to investigate this. And now it's come out that this lady was not even invited. We know that this lady is a liar. We know that she has constantly tweeted about Meghan Markle, and she just went on national television in the UK and said, oh, no, I've never tweeted about Meghan Markle.
Right.
That's a false statement. And thirdly, what's worse what is the worst part of this is that this woman it has a clear link to Meghan Markle because Missa Harriman, the black photographer that
Right.
takes all the pictures from Meghan Markle and keeps posting, and then he photoshops that tree behind her and everything,
Yeah.
is the one who took pictures of her for her charity and other people. So they have a direct link between Meghan Markle and this woman. We know that she's lied. We know that she's not proud of being British. Because why would she change her name from Marlene Headley to Ngozi Fulani, portray herself physically as an
Right.
African? She's basically appropriating African culture. Royal Daily, I have, well, former Yugoslavian, Lebanese,
Mhm.
Spanish, and French in me. But I was born in Nicaragua.
Right.
My dad was born in Canada. I mean, I can you imagine me dressed? I'm gonna be Yugoslavian, well, former Yugoslavia from Montenegro, and
Right.
I'm gonna wear this gown and I'm gonna show myself and I'm gonna change. Well, no, my last name is Matanovic, so it doesn't work. But let's say you know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
This is a woman who portrays herself as African. And who says she's very proud of being African. And yet here we have, as soon as somebody asks her about it, oh, an old lady, an elderly lady who, by all accounts, has been sweet. Even Nelson Mandela loved her.
Right. It's like I'm part German, and it's like me going to a formal event wearing lederhosen, and then someone saying, "Oh, you German?" And I'm like, "Excuse me, I'm American. How dare you ask me if I'm German?" But I'm literally wearing lederhosen. Like you know what I mean? That's how I equate that. And the funny thing is, her fake name, Nagani. What was the last name that she goes? Fulani. Fulani.
Fulani, that in Spanish is a word that's fulana, which is not a good word.
But Fulani is a West African tribe that was linked to the slave trade. I'm like, wow, ma'am, did you do research when you picked up that fake name out of a hat? You literally linked yourself to African slave traders. No joke.
And I gotta ask you a question. Okay, this is okay. I'm gonna make fun a little bit after this, but I think we should have fun about a couple of things. But I'm gonna ask you a question. This woman, Marlene, because her name is not Ngozi Fulani.
Her name is Marlene.
City wants to be part, but she's the kind of woman, my lady, that she likes to be begged. So she says that she provides, her charity is for domestic violence for Caribbean and African women. Okay. Mm-hmm. How does she know where they're from? Does she ask them when they call?
Yes, she does.
So is she being, I mean, she must question them. Where are you from? What's your background? Yep. Isn't that offensive as well to ask them where they're from? Isn't she committing the same offense?
There's been two ladies on Twitter who actually came out and said they were biracial, and she turned them down because they were not full African or Caribbean, that they weren't Black enough. These two women from domestic violence, she literally turned away. And the first question she asked is, who are your people? What is your heritage? Where do you come from? What part of Africa are you from? Literally the same questions that Susan Hussey asked her. So it's a little bit ironic, don't you think? I kind of feel like, what is it, Alanis Morissette when I say that? But it's so funny. She's so hypocritical. It's almost like a caricature.
But it's so funny because can you imagine you being, let's say you've seen the pictures, we've done with P. Dine and stuff like that, right? Mm-hmm. And you've seen that I was a victim of domestic abuse, violence and stuff like that, right? Can you imagine, for example, if I call this shelter and while I'm battered and bruised with nowhere to go, and then this lady starts, where are you from? No, but where are you from? So you're not full Black. So that means that Meghan is not full Black because Meghan is absolutely white.
Exactly right.
Okay, never mind that Meghan claimed to be 43% Nigerian, which is a lie. But she's lying. Lawyer.
If Meghan would have went to her shelter, she would have been turned away.
Yeah,
that's hilarious.
Excellent point.
Right? She would have been like, "You're not Black enough, first man. You need to go away. Goodbye. 3% is not good enough here."
Oh, but you know that I was supposed to go to see the Earthshot prize, but my ESTA form that came too late, so I would have been screaming my head off there, with another YouTuber that we were both going to be there. But I want to ask you something. I saw at the end. I saw at the very end. CD, no. I saw at the very end that they were actually I saw people screaming and yelling for them. I mean, and 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 I think, I mean, Catherine, oh, she's so beautiful. That woman and her booty. You know what? I'm gonna start working out again. I swear to God.
In her rented dress.
Of 74 pounds. It cost her like $104.
Still fitted better than anything Meghan has ever worn. So this woman in a rented gown, literally, I mean, she looked stunning. And I love the fact she was wearing $15 million worth of jewelry on her neck, literally the cost of their Montecito mansion on her neck. I'm like, honey, this is what real royalty looks like, okay? Oh, she was great.
She was so beautiful.
Yeah. And I know someone who's there, and they said that she looks just like you see her in person. She's beautiful.
Well, actually, my friend, the YouTuber that went, she said that she's really slim, but really fit. And she has a booty. Did you see her from behind? I mean, and the legs. I am going to start working out again. You know, she's instructed me to work out again. I want to tell you something because it's really, really horrible. I'm even embarrassed to say it, but did you see Prince Harry with the Spider-Man?
Yes, I did. I did. And you know what's really sad, Paula, is that's really cute. But this is a person who was mean to his grandmother, his grandfather on his deathbed, who's alienated, you know, Meghan's father who had a stroke. And he wants me to think he's cute. And it's like every time I look at him, I just see an unkind person. Do you know what I mean? I don't enjoy anything from him anymore because of his actions.
Well, let me tell you something that in my very early videos, and I'm going to say now, I can't say the name, but when Meghan supposedly, when Archie was supposed to be about my friend in June 2019, she was part of a team that went to pick up footage from Meghan Markle themselves directly because they didn't want to run the risk of having it sent somewhere, so they sent somebody to pick it up. They sent a crew. So my friend was part of that crew. This is in 2019. This is why if you go to my very early videos, you'll see that I'm talking about, and I keep saying that Meghan Markle is filming. And my friend told me that she had to advise because she's worked with, for example, with the Swedish royal family, with the Spanish royal family, with the Clintons for PR and everything. So when she saw what Meghan had filmed herself, she said that there was no way that at least 91% of everything that Meghan had filmed could be considered espionage, especially because I don't know if you saw in the book or read the book Finding Freedom.
I did not read it.
She talks about going down the vault at Buckingham Palace, and she describes the thing with the jewels. That's actually illegal. And she actually filmed, and she filmed herself going down that way.
Wow. But she probably,
and it's illegal. It's illegal. I mean, you can't do that, you know, because also for security reasons and everything. And she also had footage of the Wells's children.
Yeah,
yes, in their rooms and playing, and you can hear her voice because I actually got to see some of it. You can hear her saying, "Oh, you know," like talking to them, and it's like, "It's just your auntie," blah blah blah, and it's actually quite terrible. So my friend told them, "We can't use any of this. Have we gotten permission from Buckingham Palace?" And the reason where I'm going with this is because now in the footage that they have of the reality crap show, there is a picture of them leaving Buckingham Palace with their own photographer.
Right. I saw.
And that's illegal. They can't do that without permission.
And they had some photos they released of them in the kitchen where she's sitting on the counter, and they just came from some event. That was like from 2019. So I believe Sue Smith had mentioned that in her video. They have been taking these behind the scene photographs and footage for a long time before the whole Megxit thing. So it's kind of like, was Meghan planning this all along? That she
Of course she was. You know, she was filming before she even got engaged because she didn't know whether she was going to get engaged. So she was filming herself, doing this really reality show for herself of her experience at the palace. It's just so that she lucked out, and that idiot ended up, you know,
marrying her. I don't
Yeah.
think that was her plan. I think she just was trying to be dating him. It would have been more lucrative for her just to date him and dump him and go on to acting. But the guy asked her to
But
marry him.
nobody wanted to hire this woman. This woman, listen, if we go by the Spotify thingy, even Andy Cohen, right? The guy, that's his name,
Yeah.
from the Housewives. You
Yep.
know, she wasn't even good enough for a pilot of a reality live show.
Right.
You know what I mean? He couldn't remember meeting her. This woman, I've always been saying her, she's not memorable, she's not remarkable, she's not talented. It has nothing to do with her being white enough, black enough, beige enough, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I mean, I thought that the visit was amazing. I saw people completely in love with him. Like people, I
Yeah.
thought it was very positive, the visit.
So I think they won people over. I think at the very beginning, when they touched down, right when that scandal hit, you had certain people reporting on it because it was big news. It was big news. So now people aren't really talking about it, but it's literally been, I'm trying to think of a nice word, a crapshoot of content. It's like first you get this story, then you get the Netflix series, then you get the Invictus, then you get a picture of Archie and Doria, right? It's like you get so much information in 24 hours. It's like,
That's
how
how desperate they are.
desperate are you? And it's weird. And the whole Netflix docu-series reality show, it's like, now is it even coming out on the 8th of December? Because Netflix just put coming soon. So it's like, is it still coming out next week? Like, I'm confused.
Yeah, they are. It is coming out.
And
It is coming out.
and the
And actually, from what my
people,
sources tell me,
yeah,
actually, Harry wanted it to come out tomorrow, because you know that the BBC is gonna air the Earthshot Prize tomorrow, so he wanted it to come tomorrow.
that makes sense. Yeah.
He wanted it to come tomorrow.
Yeah, I think it's going to go very, very badly. I'm doing my 2023 World predictions over on my channel. It's going to be a fun, just fake predictions, but I think a lot of them are going to be real. And I called it. I think 2023 is going to be the honest horribilis for Harry and Meghan, just like Her Majesty the Queen in 92. So I think it's going to go down very badly for the Sussex.
Do you think? I'm sorry, I had to let City out.
I do. I think that this docuseries is already getting some thumbs down. It's getting dragged on Netflix. The trailer, if you actually look, there's a Chrome extension that shows you that the thumbs down, and there's more thumbs down than there is likes. And there's been a couple million views. So I think people are already dragging it in the comment section. I think it's going to make them look worse than the Oprah interview. It's going to make them look silly, because how many times do we have to hear about their victimhood? It's been 2.5 years since you left. You've been out of the royal family more than you've been in, right? So after this book comes out, after the docuseries, what the hell else are you going to talk about? The only thing she has left is the race card, and she's already trying to play that. So it's kind of like, after this explodes, Paula, what the hell else do they have to offer? I really don't. I think it's going to be a bad year. I do. I think they're going to stay together, but they're going to be more apart because they're stuck together. They got those lawsuits, Heart of Invictus. They have the docuseries coming out, his book coming out. But I really do think it's going to be not a great year for them.
Do you really think so? But
yeah, I do. I
hope
so.
No.
I shouldn't say that. But
well, I'm waiting for the Samantha Markle lawsuit to see how it unfolds. What do you think is going to happen there?
Well, I hope to God it's televised. I hope she wins. And you know what? Honestly, Paula, I think their luck's going to run out. You know how they're always getting a pass and they're winning all these lawsuits? They have 4. I think people are getting a little sick of them. And I know we had a little argument last time, but that law in the parliament, they have approved it, where they're adding people, right? They're adding Princess Anne and Prince Edward. But there's a rumor, because it's being read again, I believe on December 8th or 9th, which is the day after the docuseries, which is kind of hilarious to me. They could just make it where just the working royals are now on there, which would mean they would get rid of the troublesome twosome, Andrew and Harry. And if they are able to change this law, Paula, they're still reading the removal title acts. That's still running around in Parliament. So you think when this docuseries ends on or starts on December 8th, and they're having a second meeting on December 9th, I think after and I know you don't agree, but I really do believe that Charles is playing it through Parliament. Okay. I believe 2023, we could see some removals of titles because this whole race thing, which you were correct, it could be treasonous. And if she accepts that ward next week and plays on the structural racism against the monarchy, that's bad. That's a prince talking about his father, the king now. That's a big deal. So I think in 2023, we could see some removal of titles, possibly. Okay. After the ascension to the throne in May, I think if they keep running down this road, it could blow up for them. And now that Parliament is already looking at one law that they're changing, how hard is it going to change the title law? Not that hard.
Well, I just want to clarify though something.
Yeah.
The king already can remove titles. The law, the title of the bill of removal, title removal is basically twofold.
Yeah.
One, because right now Parliament, and if you go to the parliamentary, you know how many petitions people signed to Parliament wanting them to remove Harry's titles, and the response in writing in the Parliament thing is unequivocal. That only the monarch can remove royal titles because people, for some reason, don't understand the distinction between royal title and a peerage. So this bill of removal of titles is basically to give Parliament, because Parliament has no power to demand or remove the titles if the monarch fails to do it. So, and also at the same time, they're allowing the king to have a say in the peerage's removal as well. So it's like a trade-off. But just to be clear, King Charles can, just by saying it or issuing a letters patent, can make Prince Henry Mountbatten Windsor a private citizen. Okay. But so it's nothing to do with Parliament. I just think that the king doesn't want to do it because he doesn't want to do it. So he wants to leave the dirty work to Parliament, but he can't do it. Just like that he decreed in his acceptance speech that he made Prince William Prince of Wales. That was it. All he had to do was say, I made Prince William Prince of Wales, and he did it.
Well, technically, the firstborn of the king is always the Prince of Wales, and the second is the Duke of York. But since Andrew is already the Duke of York, Harry couldn't have been it. But I do think that Charles is they have to give a lot of rope because, again, there's so many people who believe that lie that Harry and Meghan are victims and racism. And then we have this lady come out that if Charles just went and said, oh, you know what, let's just take your titles, it would look petty, even though it's not petty. So they have to play the long game in a way. But let me tell you something. I think it's going to happen if they keep going down this road of throwing racist allegations, and we don't know what's in the docuseries, right? So I don't know. It really depends on the book too. So we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know how many hand grenades. If they accuse the royals of killing Princess Diana, which remember he alluded to in one of his interviews saying because his mother was dating someone who was not white and he has to protect his wife because they're going to do to his wife what they did to his mother. He literally, insinuated they had something to do with his mother's death. So if he goes around saying these very dangerous accusations, after a while, there has to be something because they're getting to be very, very dangerous.
Well, the issue that you have now, if we go by that logic, Royal Daily, is the following.
Yeah.
The Queen gave them a year to think it over. March 31st, I think it was 2021, that they had to decide whether or 2021, right? That was the deadline they'd had to determine whether they were coming back or not to the royal family. When that deadline passed, that was the time to say, okay, you're not coming back, so you're off the royal website and you're no longer a prince because you've repeated, you requested repeatedly that, and you've stated repeatedly that you do not want to be a prince, that you just want to be Harry. That was the time, because if we go by the logic, now if they remove the titles now, they're going to look petty every time they do something. I mean, by common sense, when you quit a job, you don't
Right.
keep the job title. You're not no longer in the royal website. So to me, it's irrelevant at this point whether they're going to look petty or not.
Right.
Doing the right thing, doing the right thing should never be about how it looks. It should be about doing the right thing. But that's just me, like.
Title is also a birthright, not really a title. It's not a job. It's prince. He's the prince of the realm, but they took away his military duties. They took away all of his patronages. So in a way, they took away his job, but he'll still be a prince because he's a prince by birth. But he's not. But he has a real. But he doesn't use age. But it could be taken away from him.
The prince title is anybody's entitled to. For example, he was entitled to be a prince, just like, for example, the Prince Edward's kids were entitled to be prince and princess.
Mm-hmm.
They have the option to be, but it's not a birthright.
Right.
The king when was in 1917 with the letters patent. When he wrote that letters patent, people woke up not being prince and princess anymore.
Right.
So when people say it's a birthright, it's not. It is a title that they're entitled to have under certain conditions at the pleasure of the monarch.
Right.
But it's not a birthright. And this is something that I've always had with people, because people think, oh, they can't take it away. Yes, they can. The Duke of Windsor did not die a prince. He died as the Duke of Windsor, and he was born and he was given the title prince, of the realm, heir apparent, whatever. He became king. But when he died, he was not a prince. He was a duke.
Well, I do think, like I said, that there's going to be some major changes in 2023, but I don't know what they're going to be because it's a very sticky situation. I think Charles is heartbroken because at the end of the day, it's still his son. And I think in some way they're kind of holding out that maybe if this marriage falls apart, Harry will come back, right? But at the same time, we don't know what he's going to do in his book. We don't know what's going to be in the docuseries. They wanted to do that whole year of visibility, right, where they're going to be seen everywhere for their branding, and then they want to do the year of reconciliation. But it's getting to that point where it's like you can't reconcile if you completely destroy people and hurt people and say, oh, we're sorry. Can we come back now? And then there's another report, I don't know if you saw this, that supposedly the last year of Her Majesty's life, she was working really hard trying to mend the fences between Charles and Harry, and that Charles refused to take his call because Harry was asking for money. I don't know if that's true, where he said, I'm not an ATM. But because you remember when Harry left for Megxit, his daddy gave him a check for $4 million, which he forgot to tell people on Oprah. Remember that? He lied. His dad just cut him off. His dad gave him $4 million from the Duchy of Cornwall, which he forgot to mention. So his father helped him and Meghan when they went to Megxit. So they cut him off after that. So he's a little bitter about it.
Do you think though that, okay, I'm trying to phrase it in a very nice way because I don't want to be mean to Harry or Meghan or anything like that. Do you think that it is fair for the remaining royals, the ones that are working, the ones that are, for example, we've seen people react badly. Nations now want to leave the Commonwealth because of Meghan Markle's lies. We're allowed to stand. Now, what happened with Lady Susan Hussey, to me, is a clear example of where Charles and William are going, which is not a good one. Because if they're going to be jumping every time an idiot, a D-lister, a nobody like this whack, crazy lady, Merlene Headley, a.k.a. Ngozi Fulani, says something, if they react like this so violently, to me, this was a very violent reaction that they had. They didn't have it with Harry and Meghan Markle, even though they knew that they were lying. But to me, this is the part that scared me, because the way they reacted without any proof, taking the word of a woman who's proven now to be another liar. Right. If this is how they're going to be, it doesn't bode well, does it?
Well, I think it's two different situations. Also, Lady Susan Hussey admitted the conversation and she apologized and she offered to step down. They did not fire her. This is an honorary position. Like I said, she fell on the sword. Lady Hussey was the bigger person. She was trying to save face. I feel horrible for her because she didn't do anything wrong, but I'm sure she was mortified. And you have to remember, this other lady played dirty. She went right to the social media, spread it all over the news. So the royal family had to act super fast. They said there was an investigation. The person involved apologized, and she stepped down. She was not fired. Again, maybe she didn't have to step down, but I feel like they were trying to put a lid on it because it was such a catastrophe right at the Earthshot Prize. They did it unexpectedly. Do you see what I'm saying? So they were blindsided, and it was all over social media, all over the news. So the royal family had to act. They couldn't just say recollections may vary, we'll investigate, because then it looks like they're being complicit to racism. And at the time when the lady first came out, we didn't know that she had a fake African name, right? We didn't know her history that she was tweeting. We were just seeing this woman and we're like, oh my goodness, what happened? We didn't really know until, like, 1 or 2 days later. But by that point, the lady had stepped down. They had to issue a statement. So I feel like they were right in handling a statement, but you have to remember, Lady Susan admitted it and she stepped down and apologized. If she wouldn't have, if she would have said, no, that didn't happen, then of course they need an investigation. They would say, we're looking into it. But Susan said, yeah, I apologize. I'm so sorry. Let me step down. She fell on the sword. And
I think that she
yeah,
admitted that she asked her where she was from, which is a normal conversation thing. But
right.
because this lady made such a big deal out of it, I think that she apologized because she was asked to do so.
Right.
And I don't think, from many reports, and I've been watching the news in the UK and everything, they allowed her to resign, but she was actually forced out. But she was not. It's not like, oh, I'm gonna do it. No, she did admit. I asked her where she was from, and actually, I don't know if you read this, but she asked to meet this woman,
She
to talk to her. Yes, and this woman, of course, has not responded, and now she's gone very quiet after the visit from Boston was over, and she was caught lying on GB News saying that she had never tweeted about Meghan Markle, and now she's suddenly gone. Just look at that; she's suddenly gone.
Well, I've heard a rumor, and I don't know if it's true, that her charity might be under investigation now. She was asked, her charity could possibly be under investigation. So, she was asking for money. They were doing all these allegations. She's appearing in all these talk shows, and then all this stuff come out. Like I said, it couldn't have happened to a better person, because literally within 24 hours of her claims, people are like, wait a minute, your name's not even, Nagazi, wait a minute, you tweeted all these racist things. She accused, this is what I don't get, Paula. She accused the royal family of having domestic violence against Meghan Markle.
Her in-laws.
Yeah, Camilla and Charles. Is she insinuating that they physically hurt her? But then she goes to an event hosted by Camilla and hangs up, like literally beeline to her, video of her talking to her. Okay, if I don't like a certain group of people and I think they're horrible, I'm not going to go to a party they're throwing. Do you know what I mean? But this woman beelines to a place she wasn't even invited to, gets in with Camilla, but then tweets all these horrible things about, if Meghan's not on the balcony for the Platinum Jubilee, it's racist. Right? Domestic violence from the in-laws. Like, what the hell is this woman talking about? You are the head of a charity who helps women from domestic violence. Why would you make a blanketed false accusation against the king and queen? You have no proof that her in-laws were domestic violence to her. So to me, that's very irresponsible to make tweets like that, and then you run an organization for domestic violence. So
the thing is that she was never called into question either. This is the thing that I'm talking about. If, for example, somebody tweeted something like that about Meghan Markle, you bet your butt that you're going to get a lawsuit about it.
Yeah.
Meghan Markle committed perjury, because that's what she did. She committed perjury in the United Kingdom, and she's walking around free. And I got to ask, even if this woman was not invited and there were other people who brought her in, she must have given her name. They should have checked before they let her in, because I also, I did a video and I said that I thought she was gunning for Camilla.
Yep, I think so.
And when she couldn't get Camilla, she got what's his name?
Susan.
She hit the jackpot with this 83-year-old lady.
And she says within 10 minutes we were insulted. We were sitting in the corner by ourselves. But then you see her fully engaging in the party, talking to people, touching people, hanging with Camilla. She was full on in the party. And then she waits a day later and tells people she has mixed feelings about it. So I think this woman is going to find herself in some deep trouble here because more and more is coming out. Unfortunately, there's a large group of people who believe Meghan, and they're like, Meghan's right. Meghan tried to tell you. So there's a lot of people in America who fall into that category, who are going to believe it no matter what. They don't need proof. So that's unfortunate. There's still going to be that group of people. But I think a lot of other people are kind of waking up to them. So.
Do you think that people still believe her because her lies went unchallenged? I posted something on The View, right? On The View. And on The View, we have today, because they were saying that they shouldn't have allowed her, that they're saying that there's too many people doing all kinds of things and stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then this woman goes on and said, yeah, but Meghan said that they were racist towards her. Meghan said this and nobody believed her, right. And then and she said that they questioned the color of the baby's skin. And the funny thing is that Harry actually said no, that was not the case. But this is at The View just now when they were talking about it, because again, her lies were allowed to stand. And do you think that that's why people believe her?
Partly. And then the other partly, like Medina has said, that a large group of people in a certain demographic just will believe it to believe it. They don't need proof. You just say it, that's it. Because they might have a past experience with racism. A lot of people are just to believe certain things about people. So if she comes out and said, oh, they're racist to me, that's all they need to hear. They don't need proof. We're living in a
do you think that if her lies had been exposed, do you think that people would believe her? It would be harder for people to believe her?
I think some people, because of us, Paula, and our community of educating people, have definitely changed. Because I've had people come to my channel saying, wow, I used to believe her, now I don't. Most people, Paula, don't know about the royal family in America. They don't know the rules. When she said they didn't give Archie title because he was Black, and he happens to be the whitest kid ever. But you know what I mean? Like, she tried to play up the whole race card, right? Because she's 43% Nigerian, Paula. She's got to play the race card. So it's kind of like, if she wasn't biracial, she would have nothing to play on. But because she's biracial, she's playing it up to an audience of people. Right? That's all she has to offer.
She feels that elevates her above everybody else, basically, right?
This is a woman who literally was raised in a white neighborhood by a white dad, had white friends, marries white men, has white friends, but then when it's convenient, panders to, the people of color. When it's convenient, and she cries racism or she cries victim. So I think a lot of people are getting sick of it. They're starting to see it, but we live in the cancel culture society where people just jump on bandwagons. But I think a lot of us armchair detectives here on social are also starting to pick it apart and find out very quickly the truths. Like that one lady, Nagazi's already been found out. That what they say, the internet's forever. The woman, clean your Twitter, delete some tweets, okay? Before you start, getting publicly calling people racist, maybe you should have cleaned out your Twitter. Didn't help you there. So I think she's going to find herself in a world of hurt pretty soon.
I mean, I for example, what would you have done, for example, if you had been, because I keep going back to people, like reputation takes years to build and it takes 1 second to destroy.
That's right.
Especially nowadays, because it is cancel culture. It's important to react to first, I refer to the Johnny Depp case, for example. Oh, everybody jumped in, you're guilty. Nobody bothers to say, wait a minute, back the truck up. Let's see what this is really about. The man lost his livelihood for years. even nowadays, Amber Heard is being given a place to speak. And people are outraged that Johnny Depp is coming back because this was allowed to go on for too long. And this is the thing that I've always said, that Meghan Markle, Parliament, should have stepped in and say, wait a minute, after that Oprah interview, and said, wait a minute, because this is a serious issue now. You're talking about the monarchy. The coin of the monarchy is its reputation.
Right.
You know,
Right.
they should have stepped in and said, you know what, we're going to investigate the claims of Miss Meghan Markle
Hmm.
and Prince Harry, and we're going to have a public and open investigation about this, come what may, and
Right.
we're going to figure out what's going on here, and we're going to basically interrogate everybody. And then this would have been transparent, it would have been over with, and she would have properly been exposed as a liar.
But her accusations were hearsay. That conversations is what they said. Conversations that were had over several events is what makes
Months, over
it.
several months.
Yes, and Meghan wasn't even in the room. So I think a lot of it was kind of like the Jada Pickett Smith and Will Smith thing where someone made a joke, he thought it was funny, he tells Meghan, and all of a sudden she's offended. And now it's racist. And he's like, oh, okay, I guess we can't do that. I don't think there was any real racist allegations because they've never come out and told you specifically, besides the skin color, and who said it. So my thing is it's hearsay. There's no proof, there's no investigation. Just like when she said that she wanted to hurt herself and she went to the HR department, it's like, well, she never could provide proof. Well, who was this person you spoke to? HR is for the staff. It is not for royals. It's for the staff. You would not go to HR and be like, hey, I'm a pregnant duchess. I think I'm going to myself. Can you give me a number? And then she totally busted herself in her podcast saying that Harry gave her a referral. And she called the lady in the grocery store. Remember that one?
I did a video about that. That's actually quite stupid.
But then she lied and said that she couldn't get help. Well, you got a referral. He was in counseling himself. Harry said he was embarrassed. They go, and then you just put on some lipstick and you go to the circus because you want to yourself. I mean, seriously, do you think if she was really wanting to hurt herself, they would make her put on some lipstick and put on that ugly ball gown and go watch Circus Soleil? No, they would take her somewhere. Okay. Harry was in counseling. Her mom's a counselor. He gave her a number to call, but she goes to HR. Does that make any sense to anybody? Why she would go to HR? Some people were saying she was trying to document that they weren't helping her. The people from the courtiers were saying that she maybe did it to say, hey, you didn't help me. But she never provided proof that she was denied. She never gave the name of the HR person who didn't exist because they're for staff. But again, this whole story is ridiculous. So it's a bunch of hearsay. What can you investigate? Hearsay.
But what about, but you can, because she made an allegation. She made
Right.
an allegation and it's still standing to this day. You know why I'm telling you? Because she's receiving an award on
God.
the 6th for fighting structural racism in the institution. That basically is saying, and the reason why she's getting that award, because it's her, not Harry. Nobody's been racist against the ginger. I mean, but it's her who's getting that award based on what she has said and keeps saying, because she hasn't stopped.
She hasn't.
And therefore, if she gets that award and she receives it, and she will, because the thing is, she feels that she's untouchable because everything she's done so far, nothing has had consequences.
Right.
I mean, so she's going to get that award, and that award gives credibility to her lies because she's accepting it. So I wonder what speech she's going to say, because she's going to have to say this and this and that happened to me. Because it's not just, in structural racism based on what? And this is the point that we were talking about earlier about, well, the Black woman said that, so therefore Lady Susan Hussey is guilty. Then if we go by that logic, then the royal family are guilty.
Right. It's going to be.
If we go by that logic, Justice Smollett shouldn't have been tried in a court of law, because what he said should just be taken as gospel. And for me, I don't, that gives her credibility. I mean, it's gotten to the point that's ridiculous that she's getting an award for combating structural racism when there was none. I'm not arguing that there's racist idiots everywhere, but Meghan was not a victim, nor is a victim of racism.
Well, this is why I think they planted Marlene at the Buckingham Palace, because she's kind of validating Meghan's claim of racism, and then Meghan's picking up an award for this. So I really do believe that they're trying to validate Meghan's claims because they know they don't have anything, right? So they need to validate Meghan. So they throw in some friends, because we all know that this lady is connected with Shola. She's connected with the photographer, and all of them hate the royals. They're all tweeting horrible things about them, and they're all calling about racism and colonization and reparations. So of course this is playing into Meghan's speech, because now there's another incident and people are like, oh, Meghan's right. See, we told you. Meghan tried to tell you. Look what's happening. Racism again. Even though we're debunking it, they're trying to set her up to where she can make a speech, right? So it's going to be interesting. Is she going to make a speech for structural racism, or is it just going to be a general speech? Because that's what
she has to accept the award for that.
Well, Carrie is the one who said it was supposed to be on mental health and fighting injustices, something. But Carrie is the one, when she was defending, giving them the award, she's the one who used the word structural racism against the British monarchy. So then I'm like, oh my goodness, no one corrected her. And if Harry shows up with Meghan and they do that speech on the racism on the royals, I do believe that's going to be a problem for them. I think the king will then have to step up, because you can't have your son going in another country accusing you and the monarchy of being racist now.
Without any proof, and especially when they're lies.
I think that would be the end of it, my opinion. I do. So I think the royals are kind of sitting back, let them have some more rope, because then they'll be justified, right? Obviously. Beforehand, after Oprah, I agree, they definitely should have done something, but then it would have come back like they're being, oh, we're going to move your titles because you made this claim, because people were buying it. So now that it's been some time, what, 2 years? No, a year and a half. If they do come out and make those allegations, like you said, it could possibly be treasonous. And then I think the people of the UK would just be like, no, they're done. So I think they have to be very careful what they say in their speech.
But do you think that this is the thing, I don't know if you've been a victim of abuse or anything. I have. When an abusive person never de-escalates, they escalate their behavior, because when there are no consequences to their actions, words, or whatever, they think that they're on the right path. Mm-hmm. So far, Harry and Meghan have not had any consequences. So in their minds, and instead they're getting all this money for the lies that they tell. So what does that think? It's like a child. A child, you reward when you do something good, and you punish when you do something bad, right?
Right.
But with Harry and Meghan Markle, they haven't had any consequences. So why would they stop? Why would they think they're doing something wrong? I mean, this lady, Carrie Kennedy, didn't pull that statement out of the air. Right. She did it. I mean, for her to say that, it's because it was told to her. And we didn't see Harry nor Meghan saying, no, she misunderstood. There was nothing there.
Right.
That thing is allowed to stand.
Well, I think Harry and Meghan have had some punishment. They've had their patronages taken away. They weren't allowed to be half in and half out. They didn't get what they wanted. They really thought they were going to tell the royal family. Remember when they left Megxit, they had all these rules and regulations, and we're still going to represent Her Majesty abroad. And the Queen was like, I don't think so. She totally cut them off. So they had a little bit of a rude awakening, because they thought the monarchy needed them more than they needed the monarchy. Remember, they thought they were the stars. So when they left, and then Palace was like, don't let the door hit you on the way out, son. They were like, oh, they're letting us go? What? You don't want us? So they were like volunteering to be half royals, half in, half out. And the Queen's like, no. And like you said, she gave them that year to think about it. But because they started making all those mistakes, they started doing all those Zoom calls and getting political. I think that they wanted to come back, and the Queen said no. That's what I think. So they were kind of stuck. but they were using their Duke and Duchess title to, butter their bread. But they're of no consequence or real relevance to the royals. Look at the Jubilee. They were treated like the stepsister that nobody wanted back in the corner, At the funeral, we had the candlestick, which I know they didn't do, but whatever. But I'm just saying, you can tell they know their place. They have been pushed down on the royal website. Granted, not big movements, but I think they know that they've definitely been moved aside from the royal family. They've had his military stuff taken away from him, his patronages. They're no longer doing any work for the royals. And when they're there, they're sit into the other side. You know what I mean? The lesser royals. And you can tell Harry was throwing a fit during the Jubilee, right? That he wasn't getting the top attention that he was used to getting. And he's thrown quite a few fits. I think on his very last appearance, when they used that picture for the docuseries where they all look like they're really upset. Remember how he threw a fit and they all had to sit down together? They couldn't walk in separately because they weren't able to walk with the royals. I think Harry's ego has been bruised. Meghan's ego has been bruised, but clearly not enough. But I really do think, like you said, they're pushing it and they're pushing it. And I think their luck is going to run out next year. I really do. I hope they lose this
I
lawsuit
hope so.
too.
I hope so, Royal Daily, because, for example, and I think I told you this, that I didn't understand why Meghan and Harry were allowed in the procession with the working royals at the funeral, because that only gave them more footage, and if you go to the Royal UK website, and for the beautiful people, you can all go and take a look at that. Even though they've been moved, they're still there, and it still says that they represent the king. Now it says the king. They updated that.
Well, yeah.
They updated the king, and that they spend their time between the UK and the US.
Yeah, they need to remove that.
No, I'm serious. They have updated it because they updated that he's fifth in line to the throne, and other stuff. So
yeah, I'm with you on that, Paula. But like I said, I don't know what's going on there, but I think maybe there's a lot of protocols we don't know. I don't know. But like I said, after he ascends the throne with his official coronation, I think Harry and Meghan are hanging themselves. What they say next week in that speech, or this week in the speech, the book, the docuseries, I think it's going to be an honest Heroes. Really, get your popcorn. I think a lot of things are going to happen for them. I don't know if you know, but on my channel, there was a psychic that I saw on YouTube, and he was pretty interesting. And he did his 2023 royal predictions. And it was just fun. But let me tell you something. He actually had predicted the Queen's death and a couple of other things that happened. So he did his predictions for the British royal family. And I kind of agree with him on this. They signed a huge deal with Netflix, which was for multiple projects. We had Pearl, which we all know we don't talk about anymore because it's in the trash. Then we have the docuseries, which is like literally the Housewives of Montecito. Let's just call it what it is. And then we have Heart of Invictus, right? I personally believe, and this is what he said, that Meghan's going to get her own little woke talk show, kind of like the Me You Can't See, kind of like her podcast, where she's just talking to a couple of woke guests that we all never heard of, and that she's going to go after the structural racism of the monarchy, because she can no longer attack Charles and Camilla and William, but she can attack the whole of the British monarchy. And if you think about it, what are people talking about right now? We need to go after the structural racism. And this is what this lady did. This lady, what's her name, Nagazi, and they came out and said we need to talk about the structure of the British monarchy, of racism, of colonialism. So she now goes on a show on Netflix next year because she has nothing else to talk about but race. Literally all she has left. So could you see Meghan doing a woke TV show? And of course, she can inject herself as, I was a victim of racism.
Yeah, but we're gonna see why. I don't know, because, for example, her Spotify, it tanked.
Yeah.
Now, if this reality show tanks, and you know what? I don't know if it's me, but I perceive that even a lot of woke people are put off by this. Because what story? Oh, if the stakes are so high, isn't it better if you hear it from us? What stakes? What story? You already said the story of finding freedom. Oprah Winfrey, interview after interview, and she lied on her Spotify. Even with all her lies in the Spotify, she wasn't able to hike up the ratings. And you know what? I think that this Netflix thing is gonna flop. And because I mean,
It's a car crash. People like to watch car crashes. But what I was going to say about the psychic is he predicts she's going to get that talk show. It's going to be about race, and they're going to talk about India, and that they're going to lose. They're going to get in a lot of trouble. That they could lose their title. So
I
this
have
is
a question for you. I have a question for you. Catwoman 65 says, what? Did he didn't see a divorce? He's asking if they saw a divorce.
divorce. Okay, so what he saw was that, which I agree with, is that they're going to see them more separated. That they're going to start doing more things apart, and that you're going to start seeing more cracks. I personally think they're going to be divorced by 2025. That's my prediction. This guy didn't say that, but he definitely thinks that you're going to see more cracks in the marriage, and they're going to do more separate things apart, and that they're going to get in a lot of trouble politically. They're going to mention something about race in India and maybe her woke talk show, but that's what he was predicting. So
before we go, because I know we both have to go, but
yeah.
did you see this article? I don't know if you saw the article. You know that Meghan adopted this beagle, Mamma Mia.
Mm-hmm.
And and I think the lady from the shelter gave an interview saying that she got a phone call to her private to her own cell phone, which is private,
Wow.
with a caller ID withheld. And the woman said, "Hi, Shannon, this is Meghan." And she proceeded to talk to her for half an hour, thinking that it was Megan Fox. And then and apparently Meghan tried to identify herself, and she still didn't know who she was. My point is, who the hell is giving Meghan Markle all the people's personal phones, violating their space, intruding in their, how is she, just like she did with the senators? And
Yeah.
and she thinks she's Adele or Cher or Madonna.
And Megsy. Yeah. It's bizarre. Her ego is something, is just unbelievable. But like I said, she's a narcissist, I believe, and they love their own press. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens after all of this stuff comes out, right? The docuseries. And it's so funny because they're trying to distance themselves now from this docuseries, because they said it was a docuseries, not a reality show. That looked like a damn reality show. The Housewives of Montecito. Let's just call it what it is. They were trying to make it all dramatic with her crying, him protecting his family. From what? They had that
report protecting his family. How about protecting the royal family, who are his actual family?
Right.
What about protecting that family from Meghan Markle lies?
Well, remember that guy that came out, that service guy that came out and said basically nothing. Oh, Meghan gets a lot of threats online. But then in my latest video, I literally showed how Charles had an assassination attempt. He had eggs thrown at him. They had the guy with the crossbow try to go after Her Majesty the Queen. Princess Anne was almost kidnapped. Way more threats to the royals. And this guy just says, well, Meghan gets a lot of hate online.
I mean, Camilla, if we want to talk threats.
Yes.
Camilla, please. I got to tell you that Camilla takes the hat for that one.
Bad for her, even if you don't like her or not. I mean, what they tried to do with the Paddington Bear thing was just disgusting.
What did they try to do?
So Shola, you know how she had a video where they handed out all those cute little teddy bears to the children? Yeah. Well, Shola, she slowed down the video where it looked like she didn't want to hold the hand of the little girl of color, that she was just holding up her hand like, ew. What it was is the girl had jam on her hands and she was looking at her bracelet. So Camilla lifts up her arm. He goes, oh, what a cute bracelet. And then she ends up hugging her, but they cut that out of the video. So that happened just 2 days before this event with Lady Susan. So you had 2 racist allegations literally toward Camilla. The second one was Camilla's event. Toward the royals this week. So that's why I think she was trying to get Camilla. Do you see what I'm saying? But they got Susan.
Yeah. One positive thing that the royals do, before we go, is that whenever the press has said something that's blatantly a lie, or any show or BBC or anybody, they do get the lawyers involved. So if Harry and Meghan Markle have filmed or have stuff in there that they shouldn't have, I am sure that the lawyers are going to get involved.
Yeah. Like I said, there's already some allegations of the photo, like you mentioned. Was that at the funeral where they were in? Yeah. And then there was another one with the royals, with Catherine and them. So, like I said, everything is, I just can't wait. It's like, oh my God. I just literally need to take a week off work, y'all. I just got to watch the royals. It's going to be like crazy. I don't know if you still have Netflix. I do. But
I don't, but you know what we do? My friend lends me his password
okay.
because I actually had Netflix, but
Yeah.
no,
Well,
but my friend, he lends me his password. That way we don't give money to Netflix
there you
anymore.
go. There you go. Well, I'm going to watch the series, but again, I'm confused because they're not saying the date. First,
Yeah, it was December 8th.
but when you watch the trailer, it says coming soon. Why didn't they put the date? I'm confused. So a lot of people are kind of wondering now: are they backtracking? What's going on? I think it's still the 8th, but it's weird because there's no date. And on Netflix, there's no coming soon, which is weird. Normally, they tell you what's coming next week. So
if you notice, everything's piped down now that William and Catherine have left. Suddenly this woman is not talking anymore. Suddenly there's no more racial allegations. Suddenly all the truth is coming out.
yeah,
Everything.
yeah. I don't know.
Listen, I have this lady that says, who is the psychic?
Oh, okay. Oh, I forgot his name. I'll have to remember. It's on my channel.
Well, go to her channel, guys, because after this live, go to her channel and look for the videos. You're gonna see her with the psychic. We have to show her some love. She's Royal Daily is amazing. So it's I love it. So go to her show, but and sign up and
Remember his name. It had like 3 initials. If you put 2023 Royal Family Predictions, it was like Coffee with Craig or something like that. But I forgot his name, but he's really good. If I can remember, I'll send it to Paula and she could put it in the description of the live. It was Craig something. It was like 3 names. It was like 2023 Royal Family Predictions, Coffee with Craig. But it's the first time I've ever saw him, and he was very interesting. He's written several books, but I just went, for entertainment purposes. I liked what he had to say, and I kind of agree a little bit with him, or at least I'm crossing my fingers. I don't know.
Do you think that they're gonna do you think that this is gonna be the end of Harry and Meghan once the show comes out and all the lies and all the nastiness and everything gets in there?
I don't know. I think there's some cracks already. I personally, in part of my predictions, I'm going to do my new video. I think we're going to have Megxit 2.0, which is going to be Harry's escape from Meghan. I think he has a burner phone in one of those 16 bathrooms. Probably call him Nacho. I don't know. I think he's kind of stuck with her for a little bit, but if he burns all his bridges, he's not going to, have anywhere else to go. He has Frogmore. Like literally, I think that's why he's holding on to it. He's got to keep something for himself. But I don't know. I think within the next 2 years, they're going to be divorced and he's going to be living in Frogmore Cottage by himself.
Well, if he goes to, the thing is, though, that Meghan has everything to win because she's already established residency in California. So there's no way he's going to be able to take the kids out of the country.
Yeah, I think he's going to go by himself because he doesn't want to get the hell out of there. I think he's just going to, I think it's going to be dirty. I think Daddy Charles is going to come with his pocketbook. I think they're going to have her sign an NDA just like they did Princess Diana. Although I do think she has a book coming with her little diaries. That's coming, y'all. But
when has that stopped Meghan Markle? Meghan Markle is the kind of woman who says, I don't care, I'm going to say it anyways. Didn't she just say something that nobody made her sign an NDA?
I think she's going to get that book out. Honey, get it out fast. Because when they get divorced, she's going to get the NDA. So
what is she going to say, Royal? What is she going to say that she hasn't? I mean, everybody knows she lies.
Kate was mean to me today, and then I had tea. I don't know. Like, who knows whatever the hell she wrote in her diary. But yeah, the way she said it was such a veiled threat. And I have a lot to say. It's like, who says that?
They try to bury me, but I'm a seed. No, Meghan, you're a seed.
Talk about the seeds. Yeah, I think she's been planting some of those seeds that popped up at Buckingham Palace. I think that's the seed she's talking about. It's just, we could literally be here for another 10 hours. It's like, it's crazy. There's so much going on. It's really hard to see straight. So what do you think is going to happen? Do you think this week she's going to say the structural racism against the royals? Do you think she's going to play it safe and not mention them? Do you think she's going to say?
I think that if anybody criticizes their reality show, they're going to be accused of racism.
Oh yeah.
Number one. That's it. If you criticize, because Meghan Markle's MO is like, if you criticize me, you're racist. I get that all the time. I get death threats. I had to get the police involved when I was in Norway with my son, and he was still with me because they were saying that they were going to cut him up and everything. Yeah. And they even got my address and everything. So yeah, I really do believe that the race card is going to, this is why I say that Buckingham Palace has to really, really say, you know what, Meghan, you keep talking so much about all this racism, because it's not just the royal family.
Yeah.
We're talking now the entire monarchy and even the country.
Yeah.
So this affects everything. I know people say it doesn't have consequences. Yes, it does. Look what happened in the royal tours. You said people were saying all these racist people. It does have consequences, because there's always some lunatic who believes her lies.
Right.
Look at the Caribbean, how they were, overall it was a great thing, but people, they don't like it because why? Number one, nobody likes a wimp. And King Charles not standing up and say, wait a minute. No, this woman never had any racist thing, and we're going to investigate her claims fully and properly.
Right.
For once and for all, clear this thing and see who's telling the truth and who's lying. And they depose her, because actually that is a criminal offense. So the police would get involved, and she would have to be deposed by the police. She would have to be very specific, because this is something quite serious. This is not a family squabble anymore. This is about, like you said, people were saying all these racist people. And wherever they go, they represent this racist nation. And yet this woman, yet Harry and Meghan are still branding the royal titles from their races. I wouldn't have, for example, if I'm the Grand Master of the Ku Klux Klan, and then I find out that they're a horrible racist institution, I'm not going to leave the institution. I'm not going to call them racist, and then I'm going to call myself the Grand Master of the Ku Klux Klan. Does that make any sense to you?
Right. And then, of course, it's so weird. Like, they don't like the royals, yet they keep using the royal titles. They want their children in the line of succession. They want their kids to have titles. They name their kid after the queen. Like, it's just weird. I don't know. Is there any questions? We have anybody asking questions?
Let me see, because people are asking some questions. Let me see.
We got about 10 minutes or so, 15 minutes?
Yeah, we have about 10 minutes, guys. So ask me questions for Royal Daily Tea, guys, and see, because I'll ask you one. So do you think that the tide, okay, you said that when the Waleses landed, there was a little bit of disappointment, but when they left, do you think that people loved them?
I do. Like I said, I think they have that Diana magic, something that Harry and Meghan thought that they had, which I think they had in the very beginning. They did, but they don't have it anymore. But I do believe they have that charisma. The crowds of people loved them. People were cheering. I think people really do like the royals. I mean, like you said, President Biden met with William. Did he go meet with
I was going to say that. Do you think that President Biden is going to make time to go meet Harry and Meghan in New York?
And Caroline Kennedy? Come on. They have
She flew from Australia,
Wow. Yeah. So
what the press were saying, because she was supposed to have met him at the airport, right? But because of there was bad weather, she couldn't make it on time to meet him there, right? So the press in the UK were saying, oh, snub, Caroline Kennedy didn't think it was important to meet Prince William. It's such a snub. But then you see that she actually was bad weather, and then she met with them at the Celtics game.
Right. I mean, he's the future king of England. A little bit bigger than number 5. So, I with Harry and Meghan couldn't get past the lobby at the UN that one time for their fake New York City tour. And he spoke to an empty room at the UN. Do you think if Prince William would have spoke, it would have been empty? I don't think so.
Oh my God. And that Spider-Man thing, that is so embarrassing. I actually did a TikTok and I posted the speech King William, I was going to say, Prince William gave for the Earth shot. Oh my God, that he is so kingly, that man,
We're going to fight over him. We think he's hot. Ooh, he's my crush.
The way he walked towards
my phone.
Oh my God, he was so what a confidence, what an amazing guy. I really love him. And he looks so much like Princess Diana. I'm a big Princess
Yes.
Diana fan.
I
So
think he's a gorgeous man. He was my screensaver on my phone for the longest time. Like I said, Paula, we'll fight for him. We'll fight for him. I think he's good.
but anyways, there are no questions. Let me see. Ellen says a great question. Why don't you like Camilla? You love Diana, but you could like Camilla. She's a wonderful person. This is Eileen, by the way. Okay, Eileen. History that is forgotten is liable to be repeated. I was in a very abusive relationship myself, verbally, and my ex-husband had a huge campaign to the point that to this day, my name, reputation is completely slandered. Camilla used to brief on a weekly basis Stuart Higgins when Princess Diana was pregnant with Prince William. And Prince Charles, Princess Diana knew, because the things that were being published by Stuart Higgins, there was only two people in that marriage at that point, as far as Princess Diana knew, which was Charles and Princess Diana. So Princess Diana did not know how Stuart Higgins was getting a hold of all that information. Wow. So when Princess Diana was about 3 months pregnant, when it was announced that she was 3 months pregnant, Camilla immediately started briefing Stuart Higgins. Stuart Higgins, after the late princess died, apologized publicly and named Camilla as his source. This went on until 1992. And what was Prince Charles and Camilla's reputation that they did to Princess Diana? They were gaslighting her, saying that she was insane for thinking that anybody was talking to the press, that it was in her head. And to this day, people, in spite of the fact that Stuart Higgins said, yes, actually Camilla was giving me all this info with the blessing of Prince Charles, people say that Diana was crazy. I'm not, and that she was paranoid. And now history has proven that it was true. Camilla was, Princess Diana was right. Camilla was at least, and Stuart Higgins said that Camilla would at least meet one, he would, call him once or twice a week. And when it was really important, according to Camilla, she would brief him 4 or 5 times when there were a crisis thing and they really wanted to discredit Princess Diana. Okay. So this is why I don't like her, because to this day, nobody has taken ownership of that. And I don't like a person that's like that. I don't like her morals. She was married. She had 2 children. As the mistress of King Charles, she was being supported by him. He was giving her an allowance of almost 100,000 pounds a year. And she didn't understand why Princess Diana wanted to have a marriage, So, and they took advantage of Princess Diana. She was in her teen, guys, and Princess Diana was not an experienced woman, So for me, I have never received an apology from anybody about what they've done to me. I can tell you that it weighs on you. And I am a nobody. I truly am a nobody. But the fact that people, and I've had trials and I've won them, I've won the trials, and still nobody apologizes. They make excuses. My reputation is still in tatters. Princess Diana is dead. She can't defend herself. And people are still going on about those things. I'm going to try and find the link, guys, so you can read it and see it. Jobson, I think the last name of he's a proper royal correspondent. Whenever Princess Diana would invite them for her charities to give speeches and brief them about the charities she was going to do, Jobson, I feel like saying Rob Jobson. He's on the record, and this is a documentary. He said that each and every one of the correspondents that would come to Buckingham Palace would be called and pulled aside by King Charles, by the then Prince Charles private secretary, and say, do you know that Diana is unstable? She thinks that, she's crazy. She thinks that Prince Charles or somebody's leaking information to the press. She's paranoid. He's on record saying, I'm trying to find that because it's in a documentary about, the Waleses and stuff like that. So this is Prince Charles at the time, basically calling his own young wife, very vulnerable woman, crazy, and spreading that rumor to the point that even now, in spite of the fact that it's been proven that she was right even back then, And the fact that she sought counseling, that didn't help. The fact that she had bulimia, I was anorexic. And I can tell you that I was functioning. I just had an eating disorder, clearly because of psychological traumas, but it didn't make me crazy. And so
Right.
it's the same thing. I do not like abuse of any form. I'm very, very, yeah, maybe, I don't know, call it PTSD, but I'm very, very, I don't know, sensitive to that, because, and Diana was in love with Prince Charles.
Yeah, she was.
So I don't like people when she said, oh, she had affairs. And that Prince Charles only had an affair with Camilla. No, he didn't. He had an affair with that lady called Kanga. And he had an affair until 1992 with a Canadian lady who sold his letters. And the letters were verified to be his. And she would come, he met her in Canada, and she would come to Highgrove, their marital home, and they would have sex there you
Yeah.
know so I don't like lying. I don't like people, and it really bothers me that Camilla is talking about domestic violence or abuse, because in my eyes, but this is just my very personal opinion, she is an abusive person. She did abuse Princess Diana, and she has never apologized nor taken ownership of that. So that's just me. This is why you asked me, and this is why I'm saying. And I don't think, but what Harry's doing is not justifiable just because Camilla and King Charles behave in a matter. Just because my ex-husband is an asshole, it doesn't mean that I'm going to be one, or it's going to make me justified to do something assholey back. You know what I mean?
Right.
I
Right.
took the high ground. Maybe that was my downfall, because I never wanted to talk about it. I was too embarrassed to talk about it. I couldn't believe he was saying those things. I couldn't believe it. People would tell me, and I said, no, there's no way. There's
Right.
no way. So I don't like people who don't take ownership, and I don't like abuse of any kind. That's why. That's
Yeah.
why I don't like her. I don't like somebody who lies. I don't like somebody who abuses. And, we're not perfect. We're
Right.
not perfect, but had she divorced her husband, and she was forced to divorce her husband, because King Charles, Prince Charles, basically ousted her when he did that interview in 1994, saying that she was his mistress, so the husband had no choice but to basically divorce her. So yeah, I mean, we could do a whole video about it, but I'm not gonna you know
Right. Right.
so, but no, that's why I don't like her. I don't like liars. I don't like abusive people. And I do think she's an abusive person.
Right.
Um, and until somebody apologizes, if
Right.
she were to apologize and come clean and say, yes, I did this, I did that, that was wrong of me, then I would respect her. And then it would be a different tune, because then, you would acknowledge the wrongs of the past. But for now, she hasn't done that, has she?
Right. Right.
So, but other than that, I don't think that, as things stand right now, I think that Harry's going to use whatever it is
Hmm.
to try to get even with whatever slights he feels, because he's not the heir.
Yeah, I think, like I said, I don't know, his whole life, he's been a little spoiled, but I think things are going to get bad in 2023. More things are going to hit the fan. They've already tried to distance themselves from this docu-series. So they've seen it. Maybe it's worse than we think. Because remember, Meghan was trying to sell it as her love story. But when you saw the clip, it didn't look like a love story. It looked like a bunch of victims, right? Trying to be dramatic with the whole, oh, we're fighting for our family, oh, we're fighting, and showing her crying. It's like they definitely added a lot of drama to it. And Meghan was trying to sell it as a love story, but nobody cares about that fake love story in her head. So I think that's why Netflix kind of went and sexed it up a little bit, like he had to sex up his book. They turned it into the Housewives of Montecito because they need viewers. So it's going to be a train wreck. They pretty much have a reality show, which they said it was a docu-series. It's a train wreck, I think, and they have more dislikes than they have likes already.
Oh, there's a question for you.
Me?
What is going on with Harry's visa? How has he been able to be and stay in the U.S. for so long?
I have no idea. Maybe they did the K-1 visa because she's an American citizen. Maybe he gets a special K-1 visa because of his status. I don't know, but that is a good question. We'll have to figure that out because no one else gets that, unless you got like a year visa. but he's married to an American citizen. So they might have done the K-1 visa and it might have been
Yeah,
fast.
I'm sure that's what they did because they waited for about a year. I'm sure they applied before that because they must have planned this for a long time.
Yeah, he probably got
So,
fast-tracked green card, but he's not a citizen. He's probably got a green card.
well, if he becomes a citizen, he would really have to give up all the titles. And I don't think Meghan wants him to give up all the titles.
Right. I think he can still be a citizen and have a title, but he isn't because he doesn't vote. And she was trying to become a British citizen, and I guess that didn't work either. So I don't know what's going on. But
I'm getting say apparently there's a few questions, but I'm looking at things and I don't see questions. You guys know that I'm dyslexic. Let me see. They said that there's a few questions. Let me see. They're asking a few questions here for you.
okay.
Uh,
Hi guys, I can't see you.
they want to know how do you think Harry feels about everything right now? Do you think that he's happy how things have turned out?
I don't think so, because at the end of the day, he probably misses his family. And I think after the funeral of Her Majesty the Queen, when he did not go and see his grandmother before she passed, remember there was the weird thing where he arrived later than everyone else. He's literally an outcast in his own family. That's got to hurt because they were close before. You have the firm and then you have the royal family as a family. And whether he had some problems, or every family's can have problems, but him and his brother were close. And I don't care when anyone tells me they were close. Granted, they probably had their own fights, but he doesn't have a relationship with his brother or Kate, or his father is not taking his phone calls. The last year and a half, his grandmother, he probably was not really able to see her. And I think he has some regrets on what he's done.
There's a question here. It says, do you think Doria is in jail again? I'm sorry, it's so funny. You guys have great questions. Do you think she's in jail again?
No. I think she's earning that paycheck that she gets from Meghan, her allowance, by appearing on those Zoom calls, pretending to be the grandma.
And keep him quiet.
Mm-hmm. She's getting that money. Yeah.
Yeah. It's actually quite terrible. That thing in Porto. Oh, there's a question if Oprah is going to be deposed. As far as I know, I've been told that she has been called as a witness for Samantha Markle's trial. She has been subpoenaed. So we'll see what happens.
Wow.
But
Yeah.
anyways, we got to go, guys, because Royal Daily Tea has somewhere else to be, and City is giving me a hard time.
Mm-hmm.
I apologize if I can read all your questions because you guys know that I'm a little bit
have 1 or 2 questions. If you can't, that's fine. It's okay.
Can you read them? Can you see them?
I cannot see your questions. I wish I could.
Okay. Oh, do you think there's one here? Do you think that they actually got all that money that they're claiming?
No, I don't. Because those kind of networks don't just hand out checks. They would be broke. And they need to get paid. They need those viewerships. I think they get paid. I don't know exactly how they get paid, but remember, Netflix lost a lot of subscribers when they signed Harry and Meghan. So again, everything has to do with ratings. TV shows, everything's with ratings, right? So if they don't get big ratings, I can't imagine they would pay them 20 million or 50 million, whatever it is. It was $100 million 5-year deal based on projects, but all projects have to be approved. Remember, they got rid of Pearl already. So I don't think they got paid up front, but I do believe Spotify paid them the 18 million up front, and I guarantee you they're probably kicking themselves for that one, but there's probably not going to be a season 2.
Lisa Ladieri, can they remove the prince title? Yes, the monarch has absolute discretion over all royal titles. Parliament, they need the permission from Parliament to remove him from the line of succession, which is a different thing. But royal titles are honorary titles bestowed by the monarch himself. This is why when people wrote those petitions asking Parliament to remove them, Parliament said that the only person who could do that was the monarch. At that time was Our late Majesty the Queen. Okay? So, and they said, do you think that they're going to be calling Charles for more money?
Yeah, but he's not answering the phone.
Anyways, guys, it's been so lovely talking to you guys. We're gonna have a live next week with Samantha Markle. She couldn't join us today because she's running around doing a bunch of stuff, as you can imagine. And P. Dinah was gonna join us too, but she has a great video coming out, and you're gonna see why she couldn't join us today. But next week, hopefully, if Royal Daily Tea wants to join us, it's gonna be 4 of us, so we can talk more about it. And thank you guys for joining. And please go to Royal Daily Tea channel. She's fantastic. She's super sweet, and she has great info.
Thank you.
And she doesn't have ADHD like I do. And she can actually read. She's not dyslexic. So
Sometimes.
Yes, please go check out her channel. It's Royal Daily Tea. Show her some love. This is the only way, because guys, I don't know if you have suffered this, Royal Daily Tea. It's like I get a lot of censorship from me. Like I get a lot of strike of people reporting my videos.
Wow.
I keep getting like, your video was reported, but it's not going to be removed yet, but it's under a study. So please understand that sometimes we have to be careful, even when we say it's for entertainment purposes, because basically they can remove the channel. Okay. So thank you very much, guys, for joining us. Hope we can do this next week with 2 more people. And please go join Royal Daily Tea channel. She's fantastic. As you can see, she's super sweet. Okay.
It was fun being here. Thanks for your patience, Paula. I apologize for my technical, couldn't get stuff together, but
that was me. That was my fault. That's not yours. But thank you anyways, and have a great day, guys. Thank you for joining us.
Bye.
Bye-bye.